Welcome everyone to another episode of Maxwell en Route, and specifically our Maxwell in the Multiverse series, where we interview eminent legal personalities about some aspect, some facet of their life that isn't the law. And today we are again very privileged to have Kevin Kim to join us today. Kevin is an independent counsel and arbitrator, and he started and he worked for many years in a big law firm in Korea, Bae Kim and Lee. In 2019, he started his own firm, Peter and Kim. So he doesn't really need much of an introduction. If you're in this space, you know Kevin. But we're so privileged to have him join us today. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so we're actually going to talk today about Kevin's love for sketching, and I understand that he actually travels around with a sketchbook and he draws stuff. So tell us a bit more about this, as in how did you get started in this whole thing? Have you always been sketching your whole life?
Oh, actually, when I was young, I sketched a bit, and I couldn't have opportunity while we studied law. And then when I involved in arbitration, I have more opportunity to travel around the world. There's some waiting time. So when you're waiting for the airplane, waiting for the meeting, I have some time, in between.
Right.
So I got the idea that when I sketch something, then you can easily spend a time. And actually it's quite, how could I say, self-satisfying, describe something. So that's how I started. Actually, I started with a small book, make some memo about my thought,
right,
and have some very 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 simple sketch, and then I became more interested in. Sometimes I just take some time off to have more detailed drawings. In some cases. And I sometimes sketch just landscape or building. And also I'm very interested in sketching the human beings, which is very, very difficult.
Yes, very difficult.
But I never actually have a proper education of drawing. So I read some books and try to describe the object I want to describe. And I found that it's quite interesting to watch or look at something when you are thinking about sketching. So when you meet someone, for example, you just have a general impression.
Right.
But if you are prepared to draw somebody's face, then you have different, attitude. So how can I describe it? What is the characters?
Right, and you pay attention to details that you normally don't.
Yeah, same apply to the buildings. When you see the building, Maxwell Chambers, beautiful building, but when you try to draw, it's a headache. There's a lot of lines. So which part you have emphasized, which part you just omit.
Right.
So that kind of, I think it's quite interesting exercise. So I sometimes did many works, sometimes never done for a while, but just back and forth, and I'm still doing that. Whenever I have a time, I try to do that.
Right. Okay. I mean, in fact, the irony is that this podcast series is intended for this kind of spare time that people have waiting for something to happen, in the airport. But it's interesting. We actually have some of your sketches, and apologies to those listening to this without the video, but we're showing like this. This is Ginza, Tokyo, 20th March 2016. So what was going on here? Where were you? Were you sitting at a cafe opposite? Were you sitting on the street on a bench? I mean, what's the reason why you have a sketch of a part of a street?
Yeah, actually, I went to Tokyo as arbitrator, and as arbitrator, I'm more relaxed than working as counsel.
Right.
I think it's yeah, that is March, and this is one of my favorite sushi place in Ginza.
Ah, it's a sushi place. Okay.
But it's always long queue.
So you're waiting outside for it.
Yeah, I have to wait outside. So I was standing on the street, just try to describe the building, because it's quite traditional Japanese building, with mixed up some modern things. But try to describe how it look like, and it's a very limited time, because many people standing, and it's quite embarrassing to draw something, standing there.
Right.
So maybe I've done within 15 minutes.
So you drew this standing up.
Yeah, standing
without,
the upper
without
side.
an easel, without a chair. You held it in your hand.
Oh, just like
wow, that's incredible, because it's difficult, to have that kind of sort of steadiness in your hand. And this is an image of the sushi shop.
Yes.
But wouldn't you be queuing outside it? How is it that it looks like the perspective is you're across the street from it?
Actually, you just leave small
a queue number.
Yeah, queue numbers.
I see. So you can actually stand further away.
People go out and call you.
Okay.
And so you never know when you are called, so you have to wait outside.
Right.
There is some seat out of there, but I just sit. I'm just standing, opposite side of the restaurant.
Okay, so that makes sense. You're not actually in a physical line of people. You have a queue number, so you could stand further away and draw this. That's really interesting. So this you did it in 15 minutes. Do you find that all of your sketches are around that duration? Are some faster in terms of?
Yes, normally I try to finish within 30 minutes.
Okay.
So, because I don't have sufficient time. I like to do that quite quickly. Hopefully by within 10-15 minutes. So I just catch the idea.
Right.
And sometimes I wrote down some thought I have. But that is basically what I'm doing. I don't spend too much time, on drawing quite details.
So you don't go back to an old drawing and try to flesh it out a bit more.
Normally, no.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's kind of like a snapshot of a moment, and once you've sort of left that moment, you don't go back and redo it. It's kind of like a photo. You just leave it as it is, as a memory of.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, I'm going to show you another one. So this is in Quebec. What is this place? What are we looking at? It's like a steeple of some sort.
I think this is some part of the building in front of my hotel room. So I look out outside the hotel room, and there is the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to describe the roof, and it's quite nice day. So actually, I don't bring the watercolors or that side. So what I use the highlighter.
Yeah, that looks like a blue highlighter.
Yeah, I just use the highlighter just to show, but I'm not sure there's a proper things to do.
No, it looks great.
Again, this is maybe I've done within 20 minutes. It's more details, but once you have the structure, then I can just show because it's quite sunny day.
Uh-huh.
A lot of contrast of brighter side and darker side.
Right. Yeah, the shadows on the right side of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Actually, European type of buildings, always very attractive. The Quebec is a quite good mixture of the European architectures together with the modern architectures.
Yep.
Very, very attractive place.
Yeah, it is. So basically, this is inspiration for all lawyers that with just whatever they bring to their arbitration, they could produce artwork like this. So I presume that your main sort of the medium which you use to draw with is a pen. It looks like a pen, not a pencil, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you sketch with a pen primarily, and then occasionally you add highlights with a highlighter for colors.
I sometimes use the pencil.
Okay.
Color pencil. Very rarely watercolor. Sometimes I bring in. But sometimes I use just highlight alone. Depending upon what is available. Normally, I carry pen
Mm.
or fountain pen.
Okay.
So I use a lot in a fountain pen.
You can draw in a fountain pen.
Yes.
Isn't there a certain direction where you get a broader stroke and a thinner stroke?
Actually, that fountain pen is have some charming effect. Actually, that it's like you just write down characters.
Uh-huh.
So more lines than just a pen.
Right.
So rotary pen or other type of pen, you can use it for drawing, for maybe a bit smooth. But fountain pen have a special feeling when you draw something.
Okay.
So I use fountain pen a lot. Actually, I have many fountain pens.
Okay.
Not expensive, but it's, I have a different colors fountain pen. So I always carry. So I try to use it.
Because you can adjust the thickness of the stroke you're writing with the fountain pen, right? Or if you write in a certain direction, it's thicker, and certain directions it's thinner. Is that how it works?
No. Actually, I use the same thing.
Okay.
But I prefer using a bit thicker one.
Okay.
Actually, no. Whenever I have a hearing, whether I'm sitting as arbitrator or the counsel, I use note.
Mm.
So whenever I hear something, I try to organize the ideas, to make a memo on the paper.
Mm.
So in that case, I always use fountain pen rather than other pens.
I see.
I don't use ball pen. I don't use other pens. I always use fountain pen. So that I'm so familiar with the fountain pen. So they're easily to maneuvering the lines. Sometimes I sketch, at the hearing room, somebody's face.
Oops, we do have to edit this out, but
yeah. So that's something like a habit. When I see something, I try to use it. The fountain pen. So fountain pen to me is most comfortable.
really, okay. But going forward, as people increasingly go digital, both for trial bundles and even people's notes, will you eventually find yourself going to a digital pen to draw on your iPad or something?
I tried actually. I tried several times on my mobile phone or the iPad to draw, but it's a bit different feeling.
Okay.
So I tried, but I gave up actually. There's some people actually is quite good in doing drawings on the pad, but to me I'm still actually the same applied to my memo.
Uh-huh.
So I always make memo on the note.
Okay.
I feel much more comfortable looking at note rather than the screen.
Sure.
So same apply to my drawings. I actually draw by myself with a pen.
Okay.
That's feel much more comfortable. There's some occasion I want to try some that water pen or some oily pen, so that you just have a watercolors over that, still maintain the original shape. Some exceptional circumstances, I do that, but otherwise I always use the fountain pen. Just use it, because I'm not keeping that for a long time. Just
Okay, so it sounds like your artwork is almost driven by the moment, rather than there's something you want to draw and then you will go and look for that and draw that. It's more like I happen to be here now and this is what I see. It's an interesting thing that catches my eye and I want to translate that into a sketch. It sounds like your art is incidental,
yes,
rather than deliberate, where, okay, I really want to draw the Eiffel Tower and I'm going to travel there and I'm going to draw. It doesn't sound like that's the sort of art you do.
Absolutely not. Actually, sometimes I see, okay, on the pool side, I'm sitting there. I see some leaves, and then the water surface.
Huh?
So water surface is a quite interesting object, right?
Yes.
Quite complicated to describe. So
It's constantly moving.
yeah, constantly moving, and you just take a photo, and then just see that how the water look like. And so then I'm interested in how the color change was a shade. So that is one exercise. And I'm normally very interested in any natural things,
Right.
plants.
Right.
But I'm still, as I told you, I'm still most interested in human beings. I'm not that level yet.
Of course.
I try to do that, but I'm very interested in describing human face and human behavior,
Right.
which is very unique and very difficult to describe, but it's quite challenging.
But how do you do that in the moment? Because people are constantly moving. Unless you tell someone to stop and pose for you for 15 minutes, how are you gonna, capture a person who's passing by or
Oh, very very good point. I try to whenever I try to draw something, you have the structure, right?
Yeah.
So the human face, you have a face, front face and the side, and you have different the lines and dimensions, and then you remember a certain point, because when you describe something, the most important thing is how you describe the character rather than the shape.
Okay.
Because when you go into detail, people never, particularly human face. So there's some lines here, but with the line, it's totally different. So less line is more similar to that person.
Okay.
Same apply to building. When you try to draw the building, you have too many details that people have no idea how they look like.
Right. Okay. So you need to capture the important details rather than all the details.
I think that's something similar to your arguments in the arbitration.
Right.
So you have limited time. You describe the case. So you omit a lot of lines so that you properly describe the case to the tribunal. So which line you want to emphasize, which line you want to omit, this is a very difficult decision. That is most difficult in human face. So you remember, for example, the eyes, so important.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Eyes is so important. But more important thing is, it's like what the ratio of the face.
Okay.
So your nose, size of nose and size of eyes, and distance between. That is how we recognize human face.
Okay.
In our brain.
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing. How you maintain the ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Once you maintain ratio, and then just like a certain descriptions or the characters of that person, then you can remember that. Then you just describe it.
Interesting.
So even the people are moving around, you still catch, as long as you just maintain the dimensions, same dimensions, and the ratio of the face, then you still can describe the person's character.
Is it fair to say that you're sort of almost drawing out of a mental picture of a person that you're looking at? That even though the person's moving or turning, you already sort of have the person's image in your head and you're kind of drawing from that image.
Yes, that's why I try to draw quite quickly.
Before they move away. So we actually have this. Who is this? Is this someone we know in this room right now?
Yeah, this is actually I draw looking at the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's the most difficult thing is my face because I have prejudice on my face. People easily recognize their own face. They say, "Oh, my left eye is a bit smaller than right eyes," or just other people never notice
it.
That, right?
Yeah.
Only I know that. So that is quite difficult part of self-portrait.
Okay.
But actually, how I describe my feeling or the impression, so that's I try to do that. But I'm still, I have to work a lot.
So this is interesting because, despite all you've spoken about, the fountain pen and all that, this looks like it's color pencil.
Color pencil, yes.
And so again, where was this that you actually had access to a whole range of colors in a color pencil set? Is it at home?
Yeah, actually, I have a color pencil, maybe 30 colors. Then I normally carry.
Even when you're overseas, you bring
Yes,
it?
I try to carry,
Okay.
This up. I put the several set in the office, at home, and
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, my place is Singapore, so wherever I go, I have some.
That's serious. Serious artist.
Yeah, I try to describe the different, because so the particular shade part or the brighter side, which color, you don't have definite answer, right? Some people use that as a shade, just like blue color,
Right.
which have more contrast to the other colors. So that is, I try to do this and that, but again, I'm still struggling with the maintain the ratio, the impression, particularly younger people.
Mm-hmm.
Younger people is more difficult to describe.
Less lines.
Less lines.
Yes.
You have very small opportunity to describe just something.
They tend to look similar. Yeah, tend to look similar. No, but this is fantastic, and I love the fact that it captures like emotion. It's not, as you say, not about just the features and the details, but that there's the character. You're almost a little bit melancholic, like staring into the mirror, wondering when is this case going to end.
I look like much thinner than actual shape. I want to be thin.
No, so this is something really interesting, because what about this do you feel is the thing that gives you the most satisfaction about this whole sketching exercise? Is it the final product that you're happy with? Is it the experience of trying to do it? Is it the satisfaction that you're creating something totally new? And what exactly do you love most about sketching?
I like just catching the character. So when you describe it with a certain lines, for example, that's this building. When I try to draw it, where I start and how I describe it. Sometimes it works quite well. Sometimes quite different from what I originally wanted to do. So when it describe, and while I'm drawing, I'm not quite sure what actually happens. But after that, I see that this is quite similar to my impression.
Mm-hmm.
That is quite, to me, it's quite satisfying. Then you have temptation that next time I use different things. I'm still interested in using more serious paints, like using oil paints.
Oil paints.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But oil paint, as you know, you have many things. So I'm still persuading my wife just prepares a separate room for the oil paint.
You need the canvas, the easel, the palette, all these. Yeah.
But this sketching is so easy. You just have some idea. You're just sketching. I'm still enjoying a lot, actually. Someday I try to collect all my ideas and just put it together.
Do you have like a
all
file
different,
where you keep all?
different books and different papers. I have some some works, like maybe I can look back again, just organize it. someday I have.
Yeah, no, you should.
Because I can recall my recollection at that time.
Right. No, and would you, like, just off the top of your head, have a sense of how many drawings and sketches of this sort have you made in your life? Hundreds?
Yeah,
Dozens?
maybe hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
And so they're scattered all over in like,
Yeah,
like
also
notepads.
something
and-
is very small, something is a bit bigger, but I've all scattered.
Have you had this inclination to want to sit down and do like a bigger thing that's not really just about me waiting outside a sushi bar or something, but something I want to try and tackle, which is a more elaborate, larger work?
I think I'm not prepared yet that level actually. But I'm still interested in oil pens, particularly human face.
Right.
So someday I try to do that. I also like photography. So in case of photograph, I try to take a photo whenever I have an opportunity. Some of my friends recommend me to take more serious photos, but actually the photo is good, but drawing is more attractive.
Right. No, I mean, of course, one requires a lot more skill, because I totally understand this journey, because I myself was sketch as well, and I also take photos, and there are similar aspects of these two sort of hobbies and skills, which they involve you having the eye to see a scene or a moment, and even the way you position your camera. It's kind of like, as an artist, how are you going to frame the thing you're drawing? But once you have seen that and you know how to operate the equipment, you just take the picture. To then draw, it's a additional level of skill, because now you have to not just see the image, but you have to sort of synthesize it in your mind into how would you then translate it. As you say, there are some lines you leave out, some things you don't draw, because you can't recreate it properly, or when you do, it just doesn't look good, doesn't look right, so you just leave it out. So you have to make a decision in your head what to draw, and then your hand actually has to have the skill to deliver it. And the reason why I say that is because a simple way to explain this is, you can ask anybody to draw a circle, and everyone in their minds know what a circle is supposed to look like. But how many people can actually draw a circle, just freehand? And that's why the skill is another aspect of it, where you may have in your mind's eye the image, but your hand just doesn't want to do it. And when you draw it out, you look, this is not at all what I imagined in my head.
Yeah.
So do you find that sometimes, what you experience?
Actually, you have practice every day. Otherwise, you cannot draw as you want. And when you practice every day, then it's like golf. When you swing, you never recognize when I hit the ball.
Right.
So it's like when you draw something, you have a better line. So when you have try to intentionally plan everything, then everything is unnatural.
Right.
So that's why whenever I have memo, I try to draw something.
So it becomes sort of like instinct, like muscle memory.
Yes. And then actually pencil is the most delicate one. But when you use pencil, then you have many things to do. You have
Right.
different emphases and lines and colors. So that's why I'm just using the fountain pen, because we have a difficult to describe, but you have lines.
Right.
So again, it's same as arbitration. When you present the case, you exaggerate some certain part. So particularly when you draw the big mountain, really big rocky mountain, you have no way to exaggerate. You have to come down a bit.
Okay.
While small mountain, you have to exaggerate a bit to describe the character of the mountain.
Okay. Otherwise, it doesn't look like a mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you take a photo, beautiful mountain, and I see the beautiful mountain in front of me, take a photo, it's totally different feeling.
Okay.
So only the painting shows the impression of the mountain.
Right.
That is the beauty of the mountain.
Uh-huh.
Actually human face or just or building is different. Actually, when you properly the photoing, take a photo of that character, you
Yep.
can describe the character.
Yep.
But emotion is different.
Okay.
Right? What type of the emotion you have? You have very simple lines, just dot, and very small eyes, and very simple like a smile. You know, symbol.
Emoji. Yeah.
But still, you can see that. Oh, this looks like Kevin. That feeling.
Okay.
That is beauty of the paint. You know, drawing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I'm still intrigued to see whether in the future you start to do more digital art, because I actually find that there are also many people who are traditionalists, where they use crayon, they use watercolor and stuff like that. But when they switch to digital art, initially they're skeptical because it's an unfamiliar tool. But then they begin to realize that increasingly you can replicate a lot of the tools that you find in a very compact setting. As you said, you don't have to go and get all of the different paints. You don't have to mix them, and you don't have to worry about them drying out, and then you don't have to worry about the vapors in the room. You have to air it. All of these things, they find that, hey, I can approximate some of this, but it's a much more convenient setup. I can do it on the plane. I can do it, while waiting in the lounge somewhere. And there's a bit of cheating going on here, but they can undo a mistake, which you can't do in real life. Your fountain pen has no eraser function. And in fact, one of the most important things about digital art is that they can use layers so that you can actually separate elements easily. So you could, for example, put the hair in one layer. And so you can draw the person's hair, and then you can eliminate that layer easily and then draw a new hairstyle. And because the layers are separate, you can even take an underlying layer out of it, which is, I can say, I have a person's skin on one layer and I want to change the person's skin to something a bit darker or whatever. I can do that while leaving the glasses and the hair on top of it untouched. So I'm beginning to see artists explore that, and recognizing that, yes, it's not as fun as having the tactile feel of a paintbrush in your hand, but the satisfaction comes in a different form, that I can get closer to the image I have in my head, and I can even play around with it a bit more. Then once I've drawn it, it's kind of, that's it. If I change my mind or I want to add something to it, it's a bit difficult. So I think it's worth looking into some digital form of your artwork.
Yeah, maybe I have to study a bit. Yeah, because together with the photo and some sketches, maybe have some kind of idea, put it together.
Yeah, because for human art, as you said, it's the hardest to draw and to capture. It actually sounds like it might be easier to learn how to draw, human figures and facial expression, portrait art, on a digital medium, because it's a lot more forgiving. You can easily change. I drew the eyes wrongly, or they're too far apart, and I need to change it. You can do that rather than you kind of have to either scrap it and restart, or you just have to accept that it just doesn't work now. Everything else doesn't work because the main ratio, as you call it, is already off from the very beginning. So that's something which I just thought of at the moment talking about this. Do you see yourself actually doing this more at some point in your life, like at the end of your career in law, and you feel like, I want to take a break from all of this law, but I might want to continue to draw? Do you see yourself in that?
I don't think I'm good enough to.
Now you're not, but who knows at your retirement point, right?
But I can just give some idea together with drawings. Then that actually I can do. I express my feeling of the place, or my feeling of the situation, together with some drawings so that people have a better image of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That I'm interested in. Maybe I can have some contribution, but the painting itself, I don't think I'm a serious artist. So maybe some photos and some drawings with ideas, how I see the life, how I see the situation. That maybe I can prepare the kind of collection of collection of the ideas and the issue of book.
Yeah.
Could be my idea.
Why not? I mean, maybe memoirs of your life, journeys that you've been on, or even something like at some point you want to say something about life that you've observed, and the drawings and the photos sort of help people grasp that message that you're trying to share, right? Yeah, that would be very interesting. So we're coming to the end of the time, and I always like to end off with a slightly more personal question at the end. If you could have one person in the world, whether you know this person or not, but just one person in the world who was willing to sit down and pose for you for a short while so that you could sketch this person, is there anyone that you would like to be able to have that privilege and opportunity of sketching this person live in front of you?
Oh, I never thought. They say person like Gary Bone is quite the character, and young person also. He looks quite good, and also have he shows his feelings. If I'm thinking about any person, I think that I can easily think about Gary, but I'm not sure whether Gary is available.
I'm sure we can reach out to him and say, would you be willing to pose for one of Kevin's still life drawings?
Yeah, another person I can think of is the John Quinn.
Okay.
Quinn Emanuel.
Quinn Emanuel, right.
Yeah, he's also a very strong character.
Okay, so you feel like drawing someone like that because of the personality is interesting.
Yes, and somebody make a very dramatic story in their life.
Right.
So it's but I never thought about.
No, I think I now know what your second career is going to be. You're going to be the portrait artist for famous arbitrators. That's going to be your second career. Yeah, but thank you so much, Kevin. We're out of time, but it's been such a pleasure to have you here and to have this fascinating aspect of your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.